This is your city. This is your city wants to know. We want to know the background, the heartbeat of what makes up our beautiful cities. We dig into the backstories, from the struggles to the successes of our local entrepreneurs, small business owners, artists, not-for-profit organizations, and the many, many people who make up the intricate tapestry of our communities. Real people, real stories, by you and for you. But wait, that's not it. I love giving my opinion. Just ask anyone who knows me. We can't get enough of the honest, gritty feedback of places that we spend our hard-earned money. I'll give you the good, the bad, and the ugly of the places I eat, sleep, and visit. Disclaimer, my opinion only. All right, so come on, let's get to it.
Good morning, and thank you for tuning in. I got up extra early today just because something was pressing on my heart and I couldn't sleep. I couldn't stop thinking about it. And so I'm just going to talk about it a little bit. But I want to put a warning out there that some of this content in the message could be quite disturbing and sensitive for some viewers. So I'm just putting it out there. A while back, I had put out a poll to people. Send me what you want me to discuss if you have any questions about anything. And the vast majority of people who DM'd me said that I should talk about the human trafficking or sex trafficking trade. And it's very dear to my heart. I used to be a co-host for BizClip TV years ago and sat with some detectives and some former ladies who were trafficked in the sex trade industry. And we did some episodes on this. So it is very dear to my heart. I don't know if it's because it's been on the news, it's been prevalent lately. It's been out there, people are starting to become aware. I mean, it's been out there forever, but people are now starting to become aware. Either way, I think raising awareness about this dark side needs to be brought to light. I know there's many different forms of human trafficking. There's labor, there's organ trafficking, the sex trade, but today we're going to specifically speak on the human trafficking, and probably there'll be an episode 2 on this. Most of us know that human trafficking is vastly underrated as far as the reporting of the crimes. We don't hear about it. We don't hear enough about it. It's sad that we have to say we don't hear enough about it, but it's happening, and so we should hear about it so that we can put an end to this. Ontario is believed to be the major center, the hub for human trafficking in Canada, with 2/3 of reported cases being right here in Ontario. Indigenous women and young girls are vastly targeted. Young girls. Now, there's many variables that contribute to being human trafficked. Like why girls are being human trafficked, what allows them to get into this position. And there's a few, like being a member of a marginalized group, prior victimization and trauma in one's life, disabilities, immigrants or refugees, family disruption, violence, but even more magnified by globalization and poverty and, unfortunately, political instability and war in many places. We hear of the disgust every time there's a natural disaster or some sort of war. More and more children are abducted. And there's no typical case of human trafficking. They usually overlap other related crimes like human smuggling, prostitution, intimate partner abuse, so domestic violence, child abuse. So this is pretty disturbing. Child trafficking victims, whether, like I said, it's labor, sex trafficking, organ trafficking, it includes every single background, both male and female, boys and girls, but they span from the age range of 1 to 18. We We have 1-year-olds in our country, in our province, being exploited for sex. Let that sink into your heart and your gut for a second. Some interesting facts, it's quite disturbing, is human trafficking in both countries, America and Canada, so North America, has surpassed the illegal sales of arms, of weaponry. Human trafficking, they say, in the next few years will surpass the illegal sales of drugs. And we know that drugs, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, the human trafficking industry. Why drugs? Why is it becoming more prevalent and worth more than drugs? Well, drugs. Once they're used, they're gone, right? But child trafficking, they can be used and abused over and over again. A multi-billion-dollar industry in North America. The average victim enters trafficking between the ages of 11 and 14. It's the average age, 11 and 14. And about 80% of the women and children are bought and sold and imprisoned underground for the sex trade industry. And the average lifespan of these victims is reported to be around 7 years. After they're usually found dead, being attacked, being murdered, overdoses, HIV, abuse, STDs that poison the rest of the body, malnutrition, and suicide. The largest group of at-risk children are runaways, throwaways. What a disgusting word, throwaways. And homeless children. I mean, they use survival sex to get their food, to get their shelter, to get their clothing, just basic necessities to survive on the streets. And in the States, according to the National Runaway Switchboard, about 1 million homeless children run away every year for whatever reason. A lot of them think that it's best to be on the streets than it is at home. I mean, they're getting abused by members of their own family. Why not go and make money on it? Some of their attitudes, that's what they say. Over 5,000 of those are found dead. And it's not surprising that if that's in the United States, it's not surprising how it is quickly rising in Canada every year. They're often targeted by traffickers because they deem children easier to manipulate than adults. And we see that true all the time, especially with social media right now. Children are being lured at alarming rates, no matter how many times us as parents or schools or teachers or groups talk to our children about these people who pretend to be who they're not. They still get lured. Just this week alone, there was a couple incidences on the news, and we don't hear about it all. People being lured. Because children are easier to manipulate than adults. But the most disgusting part is why they target children. Because more money can be earned the younger they are. The younger they are, the more exploited they can become, especially virgins. And pre-pubescent teens are reported to be injected with hormones to bring on puberty. And younger girls, more than boys, are expected to have a greater earning potential. And so what? If they have a greater earning potential, what does that mean? It means they're in greater demand. Is this making you angry yet? Is this upsetting your stomach? You know, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention a few. There's, in Hamilton alone, the sex trade industry is skyrocketing. my hometown, where I live, there's a guy, I don't want to call him a man because he's not a man, Alec Law, 19 years old, still a teenager. A couple months ago here in Hamilton was charged with robbery, trafficking in persons for material benefit, procuring for sexual services, advertising sexual services, pointing a firearm twice, 2 counts of failure to comply with the youth sentence. Alec Law was arrested for trafficking, human trafficking, sex trade, threatening his girls, young girls. There's more. There's so much more. Now, I know Ontario just announced a $307 million investment to take on human trafficking. I mean, you can go Google how Doug Ford's plan is to tackle this disease in this province. You can go Google that. But we need to make awareness that this is happening. We hear about it. You know, we've watched, this is 2020 or I don't know, we've watched different shows on TV where they talk about human trafficking and the young children, like the Philippines. We hear about it. Young girls, babies, abducted for the pleasure of sick, rich men, particularly white men, who travel to these foreign countries on business. And it's one of the number one money earning industries in those countries. But it's here. It's here. We see it and we're disgusted about it over there, but it's here now. It's seeping in. Why is it? Are we not disgusted enough about it? But now you have more information, maybe more information than you did 5 minutes ago. When you have more information, you're expected to do more with it. What are you going to do with this? I don't know. Does it seem too big for us to tackle? It can't be. We can't have that attitude. We need to do what we can. Investigate more. Speak to our children, parents, guardians, caregivers. Speak of the dangers. Look for signs. Become a mentor, a role model for a young person. It's the younger ones that the traffickers go after, and they have a cunning ability to target young girls who are having some sort of issues. You know, at that young age, everything just seems to be falling apart. They don't like themselves, you know, and these people come and just lure them and promise them the world and tell them how beautiful they are. They just feed on their insecurities. You know, schools maybe can have a curriculum, how to learn how human traffickers target and recruit youth, indicators of human trafficking. If you know of anyone or anything that just doesn't look right to you, call the police. What's it going to hurt? That they go out and they find that it wasn't that? There's a number, Canadian Human Trafficking Hotline, 1-833 900 1010. And here's another thing I'm going to ask you. Whether it's sitting right there watching or listening to this, or when you're out somewhere, when you're watching the news, I don't know. I'm begging you not to judge. Don't judge. I hear comments, really ignorant comments about some of these women and young girls in these cases. I don't know what in the brain would make people say such ignorant comments or think off-colored jokes about it are even remotely funny. But it's not acceptable. And I'm asking you to be part of the solution for this problem, not part of the problem. And how do you tell? How can you tell if you are part of the problem? Well, if you make ignorant, unintelligent comments, sexist comments in any way, off-color jokes, You're part of the problem if you blame the victim. We don't know the story. You're part of the problem if you contribute in any way, if you contribute to the multi-billion-dollar industry of child pornography, any pornography. Strip joints. There's a touchy one, right? You're part of the problem if you go to strip joints. Did you know that they are usually the hub for exploited women and girls? They're part of the hub. Folks, listen, it's simple economics. If men demand paid sex with children, then traffickers will aggressively seek and supply. The reality is that human trafficking is driven by profits. If nobody paid for sex, sex trafficking would not exist. Let's do our part. Thank you for tuning in. I will be having episode number 2 coming up soon. This is Ontario, Canada. I hope this somehow touched your spirit, touched your mind, your gut. Let's do something about this. It happens in every single city. This is Kim from This Is Your City. I encourage you to share this message. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and get it out there so people are more aware. Stay safe and stay blessed.